So before we get into the video, I just wanted to kind of explain. So this is part of Shanell's story, and she actually was married to my half brother. I was in their wedding line, but I have only heard really his side of the story. So a lot of this video is me hearing for the first time Shanell's side of everything. So I do ask a lot of questions. I'm very intrigued by it because I'm kind of unraveling the lies that they told me. So sorry in advance for all of my personal questions. Let's get into the video.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amanda Ray, and whenever I was 17, almost 18 years old, I left the cult that I was born in. If you're interested in hearing about that, I'll leave the link to my video in my description box down below. But today we have Shanell here. She's my cousin who also left the order, the same group I came from. And Shanell is also sisters with Colleen.
Yep.
So how much older are you?
3 years.
So we are going to be hearing a lot about Shanell's story. I wrote a list of questions so that we don't miss anything. But if we do miss anything, be sure to leave your questions down in the comment box down below, and we'll probably do a follow-up and answer your guys' question. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get started. How old were you, and when were you realizing that the order was something different?
I must have been like 4, 5, or 6, and what made me realize it is, well, at the time, my mom was doing daycare, and she was watching Outsiders.
Outsiders kids?
Yeah, outside kids.
Okay.
So like we had outside kids in our home.
Mm-hmm.
So one time when one of the moms came to pick up their kid, they was asking my mom about something she had. I don't remember what it was, but they was asking her, "Where did you get that?" And I knew where she got it, so I was like, "Oh, she got it from Eastside Market. It's the order store." Yeah.
Oh, no.
And so then, yeah.
And this outsider is going to be like, what the heck is Eastside Market? What is the order?
Yeah.
But you have no idea because you think that maybe
Exactly.
everyone knows about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And at that time, we actually lived fairly close to Eastside Market.
That's
so,
what Eastside Market is, like the grocery store for the order.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your
My
mom
mom
told the outsider?
Yeah, my mom told the outsider where it was, and then when they left, she slapped me and told me, "You don't talk about order stores or order anything with people who are not in the order." And that was the first time I was like, wait a minute. We're in something else, and
It's a secret, basically?
yeah, like it's a secret. Yeah, it was kind of confusing, but
That's crazy that you remember that, because I don't remember that far back. I just remember knowing that we just can't talk about the order to outsiders. I don't know how I knew that, but I just knew. So I must have had some similar experience, right? Because you're not just born knowing. Wow, 4 or 5 years old? That's so young.
yeah.
So that's probably when you started to just question and be like, whoa, this is weird.
Well, that's when I started to notice that we were in something different than what most of the world was in.
Was there a moment in time where you started to question the order?
Yes, 6 or 7, yeah.
Oh, wow. What made you question?
Watching my siblings being beaten by Daniel.
Oh, wow. Because they're saying the order is such a God's place on earth,
Yeah.
yet Daniel, this numbered man, is hurting your siblings, which you love so much, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And they always would say that the order is heaven on earth. So basically, the order is the closest thing to heaven that you'll see on earth. And it's like, if this is heaven, like, what's hell like?
Yeah, really.
How old were you when they started to pressure you to get married?
14 is when they started pushing that whole, like, you need to get your direction, find out who your number one choice is.
Like, ever since elementary, yeah, they always tell you, you know, save yourself for your the one you married, the number one choice. But I never felt like getting pressured to, like, pray about and getting direction until I was, like, a teenager, maybe?
Yeah.
But you're always thinking about marriage.
Exactly.
Right?
What you're told your whole life that the most important thing you can do is to marry your number one choice, have a bunch of kids, and build the kingdom of God.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess my question would be, how old were you when you had someone come forward on you, the first person come forward on you?
I was 17. I actually
really?
was.
That's kind of late for an order person.
Is. Yeah. Daniel even told me, like, when I was 16, he was telling me, nobody wants you because you're a rebel and you're sassy. Nobody wants you. Nobody has asked about you. And I was like, oh, geez.
But do you think that's true? Because they told me stuff kind of like that, and I would find out from my half-brother that his friends were going forward on me. But my dad just didn't want me to marry them. He didn't want them to be my choice. So
I think at the time, honestly, I think it was true at the time.
17 years old, and you're the oldest
The oldest daughter in my mom's
Yeah.
family, yeah.
Because I remember Cammie getting him, like, multiple. She would get married men, too. Did you get any married men?
Mm-hmm.
It's different for everyone, I guess, but did the wife come with you on the date?
Oh, I didn't go on a date with the married guys.
Oh, I thought that's what you were saying.
I actually have a little story about that.
Yeah, spill the deets.
Okay, when I was 17, I literally almost got engaged to a cousin of ours. We had the meeting with Paul, his parents, my parents, him, and me And first of all, I didn't even know the meeting was happening. My mom didn't even know the meeting was happening. Like, it was, my mom didn't go to church that day, and I went to church, and then afterwards, and Diane was asking me, where's your mom? Where's your mom? Where's your mom? And I was like, I don't know. She's not here. And so he calls her to get there because we have a meeting with Paul. And I'm like, oh, we do. The guy I was going to marry, his mom called the meeting with Paul. So my mom was already kind of irritated about having to go down there to have this meeting that she didn't even know about, that I didn't even know about. It went as far as we had the meeting with Paul, and he was like, okay, does everybody here feel like this is right? And I was like, yes. And everyone was like, yes, except my mom. She's like, no, I don't feel like this is right. So then we halted that engagement. Like, I was engaged to be engaged. I'd already said yes.
Oh, wow.
We halted that engagement. I ran off to Idaho for a couple weeks.
Because, were you upset? Is that why?
No, it's because I knew that I wasn't supposed to marry the kid.
Oh.
But I didn't accept that at first. You know, at the time, I was so sick and tired of being pressured that I was just like, fine, yes. If I just say yes, if I get engaged, nobody's going to hassle me about it.
So much pressure.
So before I went to Idaho, I let him know, like, okay, I can't marry you unless I have any more direction. So as far as I'm concerned, I'd like you to put it on the back of the shelf, you know, and if you have other people to, you know, yeah, if you have anyone else to pursue, like, have any direction on somebody else, you might as well, you know, go for that.
Right. I feel like I know who you're talking about.
You might know.
Are they from Idaho?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind. I don't know.
So once that was called off, I went and took a little break and came back and let my mom know, okay, I don't want to get married. I don't want to be pressured. I don't even want to talk to anybody about it. And like,
and stuff,
yeah. And I was working the graveyard shift at the mine.
Okay.
So my mom would call me at the mine, and she, like, I feel like we had this same conversation 3 times. You know, she let me know, or she asked me how I feel about marriage and whatever, and I was like, I don't even want to think about it. And if anybody comes forward, I don't even want to know. And so then she was just like, okay, whatever. And then the next night, she calls me again. I feel like we had the same conversation, only that time she lets me know, okay, well, I'm letting you know someone has come forward. This one was a married man. Actually, during this time, it was like at least 2 married men, but but this one was a married man. Yeah, so then I was just like, okay, well, I didn't want to know that. And then...
Yeah, why would you tell me? So did you just not go hang out with the married man, not
No.
talk to him, not dance with him?
No. But I found out later why we had the same conversation for 2 or 3 nights in a row, because Daniel told my mom to talk to me about it, and then I told my mom basically to shut up about it.
Yeah.
And then the next night, like, Daniel told my mom to talk to her about it again. So, like, Daniel sent my mom to talk to me, and I was shut her down. Yeah. And then he was like, no, that's not good enough. You talk to her again. So then she calls me again, and I was like trying to shut it down. And then he called my mom a liar. He told my mom that she was lying and that that's not what I said. So then the third time, he was actually there. I didn't know this till later, of course.
Oh, wow.
So the third time, he was there to listen
Making
to the conversation.
sure.
Yes.
Oh
and to
my
see,
gosh.
like, oh, I guess this is what Shanell said. 3 times now.
Did your mom approve of this married guy? Did she want you to marry the married guy?
I don't know. Like,
Because why would she not want you to marry the single guy, but want you to, like, kind of push the married guy?
she was doing what she was told.
Okay.
Like, she was doing what she was told by Daniel, and then at least a couple weeks where I just kept being like, I don't want to know, I don't want to know, I don't want to talk about this. And then one of the married people was, he was actually living at the mine with his wife and kids. And, I mean, I thought he was my friend, and I considered him a friend, and so, like, I was totally fine with getting to know his wife and everything. Like, I didn't think anything. Like, I just thought he was a friend, you know?
Yeah.
A married man. In the order of that, I guess that doesn't mean much to anybody, but
Right.
so for like the Christmas dance, I didn't have a car, so I got a ride, and I asked them for the ride. Like,
The married guy?
yeah, the married guy and his wife. I asked them for the ride, and so they gave me, they dropped me off at my mom's house, and I had been doing, like, I'd worked the graveyard shift, and then I stayed up, for some odd hours until we drove up to Salt Lake, and then I still stayed up for a while, and my mom's, when I got home, she was talking to me about it again, like, about the whole marriage thing, and I was like, I don't want to know, and she's like, well, did he say anything on the ride up? And I'm like, No, nobody did, and I wanted to keep it that way.
Because then it makes it weird. But at the same
Right?
time, it's like, I kind of would want to know, but at the same time, it's like, then it just ruins everything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, at that point, like I'd already just almost married another guy
yeah.
because of all the pressure, because of the harassment,
There's
and so
so
I'm just kind of
much.
like,
They
trying to
probably-
deflect it.
Yeah, and because you're 17, they're probably like, oh, we gotta hurry and get her married. She's
Yeah.
Old maid.
Yeah.
But,
So at that point, my mom was like telling me that, well, Daniel told him to dance with you at the dance tonight, and I was like, or because she was saying I needed to go or whatever. I'm like, no, I've been up all day, all night and all day. I'm gonna go to sleep. And she's like, well, Daniel told him to dance with you, and I was like, well, then I'm for
Oh
sure
my
not
gosh.
going.
Yeah.
So I didn't go.
So he's pushing.
So
him
he
onto you,
didn't.
too.
Yeah. So he didn't end up dancing with me, and then couldn't tell you how long later. It was maybe a week or something, and I get home to my grandpa's house from work
Okay.
in the morning, and the phone rings. So I answer it, and it's, for me, it is the guy. And
The married guy.
The married guy,
okay,
yes.
Okay.
So he's like, basically he invited me to dinner that following night. He called to invite me for dinner. As soon as we got off the phone, I call my mom. She says, hello, and I'm like, what the heck? And she's like, is there something that I should know about? And I'm like, well, if you don't, somebody's going to be in trouble. So I told her that he just invited me, and she had no idea.
Oh,
So he had to
really?
have gotten the permission from Daniel.
Okay.
Nobody telling my mom. But
Did
I
you
get off the
go?
phone. I'm not done.
Okay,
yet.
sorry. I'm like, I need to know this.
Actually, okay, so the phone rings again, or like the phone's ringing while I'm on the phone. I'm like, okay, well, he's calling back. So I got off the phone with my mom, answered his phone call, and he was like, I forgot to ask, is there anything you're allergic to? And I'm like, yeah, bull crap.
You said that?
I did.
You're so funny.
Anyway, then that phone call ends, and my mom calls back, and she's like, okay, I just talked to Daniel. Yeah, he did give him permission to invite you, da-da-da, and I was upset, and my mom was telling me, you don't have to go. And if you want, you can tell him that you'd prefer to talk or to meet in Salt Lake or at home, when I'm in my own, more of my own territory.
That's really nice of your mom. A lot of parents don't give you that leniency. They just say, you gotta go. This is a choice for you.
Yeah. The next day's dinner. So then that night when I went to work, I think it was while I was at work. Well, I called him back, but it was the wife that answered, and I just let her know, just wanted to let you know I'm actually not going to go to dinner tonight, and if you guys want to, like, if we want to have a meeting, I would rather it be when I'm up in Salt Lake at my mom's house, or, whatever.
And was she super for you marrying into the family?
I have no idea, but she was really sweet. I still like her. Okay. She was nice. I still like him too, but it's
such a weird situation, yeah.
Yeah, so then I didn't end up going, and I just, I kept pushing off. I was like, no, I'm not meeting with anybody. And, a month later, mom's telling me the same thing. Well, there's more people coming forward, and I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't care right now.
Right.
There was at least 2 married guys.
Okay. But you never went and hung out with them or went to dinner with them?
No, not the married guys. The first 2 people who came forward on me, I went on a date with them.
Okay.
And then that was the second one that I almost married, so then I went on a few dates with him in the meantime, at the mine.
Okay. So when I had someone come forward on me, is it the same where they just tell you their direction and the dreams they had on you and how they know that God wants to marry you? Okay.
Yeah.
Can I hear one of the stories? I want to know what they said. Mine was just he had a dream that we were engaged and everyone was congratulating us and we were holding hands and he just knew that meant that was God telling him. And I was like,
well, honestly, I can't remember exactly how it went, but the first guy tells me he had a dream that we got married, and then he was a little more like a normal person, was so basically I'm asking, will you marry me?
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
no.
At this point, I don't know. I can't give you an answer right now, but when I have an answer, I'll let you know. And then
that's nice.
He picked me up and drove me to a reception.
Oh,
actually,
really?
your brother's reception.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
It was. Exactly.
Okay, so we kind of took you to the reception as a date.
Yes.
Kind of.
So, yes. And I sat next to him and everything, and I even had some of my siblings coming up to me later and be like, I just want to let you know I support it. And I was just like, oh, okay.
I didn't say yes yet. But he probably assumed that you would say yes.
Yeah.
He's doing that.
Well, I wanted to.
How come it didn't work out?
I didn't have direction.
Oh.
Because at the time I was, a lot more in the order mindset. I wanted to make sure that I was marrying who I was supposed to marry. I'd had direction that I would be safe with him and that I would be safe with his family and in his house. But that was the only thing. Like, I didn't have direction to marry him. I just had that validation that I would be safe with him. And I wanted to say yes, but to me it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough direction.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, I don't want to leap too far ahead, but I really want to know your direction on my half-brother now. Okay, wait, let's get through let's see. Okay, yeah, we are getting into that. How old were you when you got engaged? Were you 17? Was that the year?
I was 18 when I got engaged too.
Okay. So, how did he come forward on you? I've never heard this story. How come I never heard this? I guess I have a lot of half siblings.
He found out I liked him.
Did you have direction on him?
Yeah, I had direction, and I kind of, like, I didn't say anything for a while. I just kind of was like, you know, getting a feel of the energies. And he worked at the mine, so I'd see him a lot of times when I'd go to work.
Mm-hmm.
He would come up and get his light because I was the dispatcher. So, like, he came and got his light from the desk I sat at.
Mm-hmm.
And I would watch him, and he didn't seem interested, or he didn't seem like he thought I would be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay. And, like, in my mind, I'm like, hey, what is this? What is this feeling? Like, he's not giving me any attention. Like, he's not doing any of this. And so I just kind of, you know, marinated on the idea for a while. Yeah. After some time, like, I had a couple of best friends down there.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was married to his brother. And so I was hanging out with my friends, and the one that was married to his brother, she was pregnant, and then the other friend had already had a baby, and I think she had just gotten pregnant again. But she was, like, they started telling me, Shanell, you should get married. When are you going to get married? And I'm like, well, the right guy should freaking ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, who's the right guy?
Like, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
It's such a secret. I remember everyone being so weird about talking about their choices, and I would just blab about who my choices were, and apparently you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. No, I was trying to, like, I was trying to be like, I don't want to say it yet. I ended up telling them. And then, of course, yeah. And then, you know, the girl that's married to his brother, like, she was excited because her husband, you know, was concerned that his brother wasn't really going to get married. And so it gave her, like, she was excited, and so she was like, you know, told him.
Oh, wow.
And then,
so
then he tells him,
basically?
yeah, it was like the next,
wow.
I feel like it was literally the next day that I was noticing more attention from him.
Were you, like, one of the only ones that was single of your family?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's kind of old. I keep thinking about, like, I don't think anyone else was, they're all married and having babies.
Yeah, everybody was already married by then.
Wow.
I already had sisters who were pregnant. And
Younger sisters?
Younger sisters who were pregnant.
Wow. Okay.
And the two girls that I was telling you, they're my age. They had been married for a while.
Right, and they have kids.
Yeah.
So then you tell your friend tells her husband, the husband tells his brother. Tell them you had a crush on him, or you had direction on him?
Well, I said that he was the right guy. And they asked if I had direction. I was like, yeah, I think so.
Or you just have a dream about him? I never knew how direction worked, because I had dreams about all kinds of guys. Every guy that I hung out with, I would dream about them. So,
right?
Yeah.
I know. I remember being 14, 15 and, like, have a dream about this boy, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm
What
going to marry
about
him.
you? Yeah.
The next night, I have a dream about his brother, and I'm like, well, girls don't live polygamy, so I guess dreams don't mean anything.
I guess I married them all. You have to. My dreams had constantly. I just felt like, and I would try to get direction. Like, that was my thing, because I like try to get direction on him to be like, I had a dream.
Like, it wasn't dreams that initially started my direction.
Okay, we took a little break. Where did we leave off at?
I was slowly getting to how he came forward on me. Basically, he found out that I liked him, and then soon after he tells me that he's crazy about me. And then
He just told you that? Randomly at the mine?
It wasn't randomly, it was kind of weird. Yeah, he was like, there's something I want to tell you. I'm too nervous. I'm like, okay, so we go outside, because I guess it would be better than in the house. And then he's like, okay, let's behind the building. So we go behind the building, and then he's like, tells me, I knew he was going to say something. You know, I just thought he was going to say that he likes me. Mm-hmm. Or like, I really like you or whatever, but he was like, I'm crazy about you.
Remember how you were saying he didn't seem like he really paid attention to you? Did he have a crush on you at that time, or was it just after?
It was after.
Okay. So he realized that he had feelings for you too.
After finding out that I had something.
Okay. So then what? Do you guys secretly date, or did he do the right? You did?
Well, yeah. I mean,
wow.
But see, I was already going down to their house and playing games with him and two other boys.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like breaking order standards.
Oh,
it's pairing off, right?
It is, yeah.
Wow.
And even the oldest boy that was living there, he even told me at some point that he didn't think it's appropriate for me to go down there, and I'm just like, okay.
Weird situation, because Rachel was even saying that she was going to a public college, SLIC, community college, and she was talking to an outsider about school homework, but someone called and tattletaled, and then they had some people go and like talk to Rachel, and someone told the guy that Rachel was married. They're like, she's married, so leave her alone. And the guy's like, look, I'm just trying to do homework, okay?
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of shocked that you didn't get in trouble. He tells you that he likes you. You guys, how much longer after that does he go forward on you and have direction or whatever?
He found out in April, and then it was in June when we got engaged.
Oh, wow.
And
2 months later?
I don't remember if I told Daniel first, or if he had gotten to Daniel about talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember talking to Daniel about it, and he tells me like some of the things that he asked, like which one of the things, of course, was like, do you have a savings? And did. So Daniel was really glad about that.
Okay.
And then,
I didn't know that was one of the questions. What
Yeah.
your savings look like?
yeah,
Okay.
what is your savings? How much money do you have?
That's the number one question. That's all we care about.
Yeah. Then Daniel asks me what I want him to do, and I was like, well, can I say yes? He asks me if I wanted to talk to me. And I, at that point, was like, well, can I say yes? Because I already knew, and so I didn't want to have to go through the whole come forward thing without being able to say yes. If someone comes forward on you, and then you say yes, and at that point, you're engaged to be engaged. You're not officially engaged until you have the meeting with Paul and he proves it. I don't remember at what point I said yes. It was a while after that we went and had the meeting with Paul. Yeah, and he tells me about this dream that he had, which I asked him afterwards. Like, I asked him, did you really have this dream? He was like, no, but
You lied.
but I knew they wouldn't let me talk to you unless it sounded like I had direction or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's comforting.
How did the meeting go with Paul?
It went well. It was really long. Importance of marriage, blah, blah, blah.
And then you were engaged.
Yeah, and it was so strange. So, like, after we leave the house, we go out to the front yard, and then it's like, you guys are engaged now, you can hold hands. And so, like, the very first time we held hands was right in front of our parents, and we even took a picture.
That's so weird.
I'm pretty sure I've got that picture somewhere, honestly.
You guys kissed before your wedding day?
Yeah.
You did? I
Yeah,
keep
but-
hearing everyone doesn't really save their kiss for their first.
Okay, well, first
some
of
people
all-
do, but
First of all, we got engaged in June, and then I got engaged first, and then literally right after my meeting with Paul, another one of my sisters and her mom went and had a meeting with Paul to get engaged to one of our cousins, and then the next day, another one of my sisters got engaged to one of our cousins. So then it was July 3rd, then Daniel lets me know we're going down to Colorado to get legally married, even with parental consent. The other two were underage. So I didn't have to have parental consent, but I would have had to still go to Colorado to marry my cousin.
it's illegal in Utah? Right, yeah, it's illegal
Yeah.
in Utah, but in Colorado, you can go
Yeah,
marry
So
your
it-
first cousin?
yeah. So when
I didn't
Daniel
know
was
that.
like,
It was Idaho.
when he talked to me about it, probably Idaho too, but when he talked to me about it, he was like, "Hey,
Oh.
we're going down to Colorado to get legally married, and you're welcome to come with us. You don't have to, because, well, since he was my half first cousin, they were like, it's more like second cousins, da da da, So we didn't have to go down, but I was like, well, yeah, we'll go down, take a trip with my sisters. We'll all get legally married together. I mean, heck, we all got engaged within
A week or
24
so?
hour.
Yeah.
No, within
Oh,
24 hours.
wow.
We
So
all
you
got-
guys all hopped in one vehicle together, went to Colorado, and
Mhm.
got marriage licenses to your
Yeah.
cousins on the same day?
Yep.
You were 18.
I was 18. I believe they were both 16.
Wow.
The other two were
Okay.
16. But they were both marrying adult men.
Oh, wow.
One of them, her husband's parents are siblings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I have a question then. So you knew you were getting legally married, but did Daniel give you guys the talk to say you still can't do the kissing and all of that?
Oh, yeah, of course he did.
Then how did the ceremony go? You didn't kiss at the ceremony?
Oh, at the legal,
The legal one, yeah.
it wasn't even a ceremony. We went into the courthouse, filled out the paperwork, and I even was standing there like, okay, so right here where it asks if we're related, what should I say? And they're like, just say no. I'm like, oh, okay. I lied on there. I was like, did what my parents said.
Wow.
And so then we walk out, we all got our marriage license. Everyone's like, yay, we're officially legally married, and
But you still had to
Yeah,
just
and
hold hands, no kissing.
yes, we could, you know, we could hug, we could hold hands, we couldn't kiss. And at that point, I hadn't kissed him.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't kiss him, even getting engaged. I didn't kiss him until after we were legally married,
Right.
but not order married, so it was still
the
wrong.
order ceremony is the like most important one.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And Daniel did, you know, sit down and be like, okay, you guys know that just because you've got your marriage license now, that doesn't mean you're married in God's eyes yet. Like, you have to wait till your order wedding and
Wow.
to be married in God's eyes. So you can't do anything.
They
you can't
treat
kiss.
you like such a baby,
Right?
And you're an adult.
I can't remember how long after that we had our first kiss. But then, you know, then we kissed a little bit, but then it was like,
Did you feel guilty?
on his birthday, he breaks his leg riding,
Oh yeah.
well, jumps on my horse and kicks the poor old guy. My lovely horse threw him right off. He breaks his leg.
At his wedding, he had a broken leg, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, he broke his leg. And, of course, after that, and Dad was like, you know why this happened, right? You know why this happened. And I'm like, because he climbed on my horse and wasn't very nice about it? He's like, no, there's more to it. Because you guys were doing something naughty. I'm not going to pretend that all these these numbered men, I'm not going to pretend that they're so good that they didn't do crap with people that they were going to be marrying. Like,
they were. I've heard stories about the numbered men, Paul's brothers, doing stuff with the women before they were even engaged.
Yeah.
And they had other wives.
Exactly.
And I heard tell his wife, it's none of your business who I'm going forward on. You'll find out when I'm engaged.
Yeah.
Telling your own wife that.
Daniel told my mom that.
That's ridiculous. I guess I see it way different because my mom raised hell when my dad was trying to marry, you know? So, and my mom had to know everything that he was doing.
Well, your family was a lot smaller.
That's
at
true.
the time,
when
just
there's only 3
2
wives. Yeah, and then
At
there's
the
2.
time, yeah. And then the third came in.
But whereas he had what, 14, Daniel? Yeah. So then you just lose track at that point, I guess. So you didn't feel guilty for kissing before you were married? In God's eyes?
I did feel guilty, but then it made more sense to me because I was like, well, we're legally married. And I wasn't, like, I was trying to be, you know, a good order person and everything, but my whole heart wasn't in it. Like, I wasn't completely ordered. Weeks later, he breaks his leg, and Daniel's all basically trying to tell me it's because we're having sex. And I was like, no, we're not. He's like, yes, you are.
Oh,
Admit to it, because that's why it happened. I'm like, no, we're not. Over a week after that, I actually did have sex with him. And it was just like,
before you were married?
yeah. I was already legally married, and we were already being accused of it. Like,
I know. I'm like sitting here like an order person before you were married? In God's eyes? Then, so you got married in July, no?
Mm-mm. I got married in August. Yeah, got engaged in June, legally married in July, order married in August, and I was trying to push out my engagement as long as I could. I was trying to have a 3-month engagement, and they're like, no, it's too long. It's too long.
Because I think a lot of girls have stepped out or questioned or like not wanting to get married, and it was a lot harder to get them to just get married, so they just want to hurry and get married before they can think about it. Right?
If I had known the kind of person that my ex was, I wouldn't have actually followed through with the marriage.
Exactly. You get to know them, and then you're like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life with them. But so you only had a 2-month engagement?
Mm-hmm. Before he broke his leg, I was like, okay, so I guess we'll do August 15th because Daniel's number's 15 and it's supposed to be a special day, blah blah. And so then he breaks his leg, and I'm like, okay, then I'm definitely gonna push it out another couple weeks. And his parents, they're like, no, don't do it. And the reason I found out, one of the reasons they didn't want me to push it out, but I was like, I'm pushing it out 2 weeks. He broke his leg, and he had to have like a long cast. So we wanted to get married when his long cast went down to the short cast.
Okay. So they actually were like a tux, right? Did you go to marriage prep classes before or after you were married?
Oh, before I was married. I was 11 when I started going to that.
How come I didn't go to marriage prep? And they told me I would go when I was engaged. What happens in marriage prep
different
class?
families do it different ways. Well, Daniel's family is big enough that, like, it's in the families. I didn't go to marriage preparation class with any of Paul's kids.
Okay.
I went to marriage preparation class with my own siblings, where Daniel was the teacher.
Okay, that's different.
And yeah,
because the marriage prep class I'm talking about is when we were at the church, I would see all the older kids who were engaged holding hands would go into this classroom, and it was like all about marriage prep. I think I went to one class with Cami because I just wanted to know so good what they talked about in there. But yeah, it's just like how to be a good wife, right?
Yeah. I've also heard that one of Paul's sisters was teaching, and she was like, if you feel like a doormat, you should be glad that you're the one he's coming to, because he has other wives to go to.
Oh my god.
I know, I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, I would make my blood boil. I would not be able to handle it. Even
Oh.
in the order, I remember when Paul got up, and I remember him talking about he gave us a pamphlet, and it's basically like Joseph Smith's or Brigham Young's good wife list, saying that when your husband gets home, you wait for him to tell you how his day was, and then you tell him, if he's not tired enough, you can tell him about your day, and you make sure that there's food hot and ready on the table for him. And he doesn't have to take his shoes off for you because it's his home. And it's like, wait, what? Basically, he's God? I don't know. I just remember that I was pissed, even being in the order. I was an order member, and I was hearing these rules like, ooh, my blood was boiling. So, like, I can only imagine what Daniel said in your marriage prep classes, right?
Well, a lot of the stuff I just kind of tried to let it go because I'm like, even though I'm 12 and 13, I don't really want to worry about this yet. Like at the time, I was even thinking the soonest I would get married would be 16. One of the most awkward times is when we're sitting at a round table, in one of the office meetings, and I've got siblings all over the table, boys, girls, and Daniel was telling us that even some of his kids will marry each other. Even some of you in this room.
Was this in marriage prep class?
Yes. And it was like,
Ew.
I remember looking over and be like, seeing, a few of the first wives' boys be like, fuck no.
Yeah.
And then
These
looking
are my
over
brothers.
at my other brothers that were in there, and I was like, no, they loved them as brothers. And I was like, no.
So looking back on that memory, in that room, looking at all of your brothers and sisters, did any of them eventually marry each other?
Yeah. The boy my age that was in that room, he did marry one of our sisters.
Because I did notice Daniel's kids were the ones that I noticed them marrying siblings more than the rest. Or maybe the other ones were more secretive about it. When I was a teenager, 2 or 3 of them got married. I have to think back. One of them was...
Yeah, he's the one that's my age.
And then another one... Maybe it was right when I was leaving.
I know that...
Parent siblings, are they?
No, but she is his niece.
Oh, okay, maybe I confused that one. But Paul's family does it too. It's just, I think it's more secret. Because Paul even married his own nieces and sisters. So.
Yeah, he did.
Whatever. Potato, tomato. Maybe cousins wasn't that big of a deal to you then because siblings was such a, oh my gosh, no. Did they talk to you about not having safe sex? Like, you can't have sex for pleasure?
They didn't say you can't have sex for pleasure, but they did say no birth control because birth control is murder.
Murder?
Murder.
If that's the case, then every time a guy decides to go relieve himself, is that murder?
Might as well be. Wasting the sperm.
No one gave you condoms? The condoms
Actually, yeah. So at my bridal shower, my sister Colleen gave me a box of condoms. And I pulled it out, and like a lot of people was like, you don't need that. You don't need that.
Taught not to use condoms.
Yes. Not to use condoms because birth control is murder. If like we're supposed to have babies. But there's a lot of babies up in heaven, and us mothers, like we're supposed to just bring them here.
So then, were you expected to have a baby every year? What did they tell you?
Yeah. Well, see, since I didn't ever get pregnant, it was more like a month after I got married. Then there was like, oh, why isn't Shanell pregnant? Da, 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 da. And then like the second month, then they started pushing, ask Daniel what she needs to do so that she can get pregnant. And I was like, really, guys? I freaking just got married.
Were you
like,
trying?
Why? No, not at that point.
That's
Like in the
so
beginning,
slow.
I did use those condoms that was given to me.
You're like, please, no baby right now.
There were times I really tried, and I just kind of was like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get pregnant? And like,
Well, how long
whatever.
were you married?
I was married for about 2 years,
Wow.
and then
And you were trying a few months into the marriage?
it was probably more like 5
5 months into
months
the marriage?
after,
But still, that's
4 or
a
5
year
months
and a half
after.
of a marriage that...
Yeah, and I
You
didn't
didn't
get pregnant, and I did try, and I'm like, I'll fill in inadequate, because of course in the order, everything's the girl's fault. They never blame the guy, it's all the girl.
Never. If the girl can't get pregnant, they never question the guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time,
They were
it is
even-
the guy.
A lot of, yeah, exactly. And they were even saying, like, tell Shanell to get off the birth control, tell Shanell, like, she doesn't need to, not to use those condoms, da 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 da. And I was like,
It's your fault, and he's the one
Yes.
doing it.
and then it came down to like, oh, she's too small, she's not healthy enough, blah blah blah. That's why she can't have babies.
Oh my gosh. So when did you realize that the marriage wasn't going to work?